94.7 ESPN. I'm currently reading that USA Today article. It is concerning, no doubt. I before I speak on it publicly, I want to get my thoughts more in order. But this is the perfect man to talk to at this time, and that is LSU Executive Athletic Director Verge Osbury. Verge joins us at 7:30 every Monday. Verge, I'm not entirely sure legally what you can or cannot talk about. But do you want to, I guess, make a statement in regard to the USA Today article, which came out about LSU and alleged sexual misconduct on campus?
Joy, there was a due process there. I really can't discuss it, and we followed the due process at LSU, and that's pretty much all I can say about that article at this time.
So we'll just have to wait and see where that goes. It's kind of an awkward transition, but let's just barrel right on through. Let's talk about football, Verge, as LSU is set to play Arkansas this week. There's rumors swirling about all kind of potential rescheduling possibilities. To your knowledge, what are the plans right now on this Monday? Is LSU just set to play Arkansas, and that is that?
Yes, right now we're going to play Arkansas up there at 11 o'clock. We've won that game 4 years in a row. I think it's a different team this year with Coach Sam Pittman up there. They're doing very well. And, they've lost some games they should have won. I think it'd be a tough game. They run the ball very well. They can score. Felipe Franks, as you know, the quarterback who transferred from Florida, is the quarterback up there right now. So we expected the game to go on as planned. I think after this week, Jordan, you'll see some changes where, if the SEC decides to change the schedule and how we play the Alabama game and the Florida game and the games that we have to replay. But I think we'll get the games in. It's just we don't know where they're going to put them in the schedule.
Okay, interesting. Because, I do know that one of the ideas was maybe that you bump this game to the 19th. You play Alabama this weekend, then Alabama could play their Kentucky game on the 12th. So you're saying that the plans right now on this Monday are that those games will be played. It's just a matter of figuring out how.
How they be played, that's right. And we do want to play the game. That's correct.
Do you have any ideas in terms of where the league's head is at, kind of balancing getting these games played versus trying to protect one of these teams? Florida and Alabama look like probably the two best teams to potentially get in that college football playoff. Does that come in to this decision making at all?
Yeah, I think it will. I think how you schedule the games and the dates they have to schedule the games, that's why I think the shifting around, depending on how the conference is going to work it out. They hadn't told us much about it, how they was going to do it yet, but we know it's happening. We know they're working on it really hard to try to get these games in. So it's determined, let's say if Alabama and Florida is in a championship game on the 19th, then you definitely have to play those games a little earlier in games, and we might be playing games on the 19th also in the SEC. To make us sure that all of us get our games in. We started that. That's the part we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure that all of us have a complete 10-game season. We knew it was going to be difficult. We knew there would be other, outbreaks and contact tracing. We got ourselves into the contact tracing part of it. We didn't really have a big outbreak on the team. But we knew it would be difficult and have some issues there. And as you know, going the country now, numbers are rising again. So those are the things that we were concerned about. But overly, we were happy that, we get back to this week. And right now, our coaches have been preparing starting last week when it decided we wasn't playing Alabama to Arkansas.
And so let's talk about this Arkansas team, Verge. We're talking to Verge Osbury, LSU Executive Athletic Director, because it's interesting, Verge. They're almost like, in a way, it's like Coach O laid a lot of the blueprint that Sam Pittman is now following with great success, right? A guy who is, a position coach, a line coach, known as a great recruiter, has a lot of passion for the school, gets the head job, delegates well, hires a couple of really good coordinators, and right now this is an Arkansas team that is no doubt playing above their talent level. They are playing very well. So it's kind of interesting that Pittman follows and yet the two teams feel like they kind of find themselves at different sides of the success versus expectation spectrum coming into this game. What have you seen out of Arkansas this year that's impressed you?
Like you said earlier, they competed for 60 minutes every game. They've been in every game. I mean, even the Florida game got away from them a little bit on defense. They still scored, 20-some points. Felipe Franks has really improved from the years before, especially when he was at Florida. And like I said, they're big up front. He likes to run the ball, and I think he'll stick to the run. But I think Felipe is capable of passing the ball. They don't like to get behind. Once they get behind, it's hard for them to catch up. But one thing, their defense plays, well in spurts, and that's their weakness, the secondary. But overall, though, especially offense, they've been scoring points. They've been in tough games. You go back and look at the Auburn game, and there was that call that was questioned at the end of the game.
Yeah.
You take away that call, and they win that game.
Yeah.
So we know this is a different Arkansas team that we've played the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. What do they sit here? 3-4 now. That would have put them in 4-3. Could have beat Ole Miss as well. Questionable call there.
Correct.
Maybe get them to 5-2. So it's a solid Hog team. Obviously, the problems with LSU remain on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, do you think there's any improvement that could take place? I mean, you had an extra week now to basically get ready for this game. How are you feeling about how things are trending defensively for LSU?
This is an important week for our whole football program. The off week can happen at a great time, and you evaluate yourself. I talked about it earlier. You evaluate yourself as a team, as a player. Coach O, the whole staff, everybody in the building. You evaluate yourself where we are, and look at the midway point. You have 5 games left, 5 big games left, and now it's just one game at a time. I think right now, as a staff and a team and defense, you look at, we have to go out there and we have to compete against Arkansas and beat Arkansas. That's all we need to concentrate on right now. I also gave the coaching staff time to evaluate talent and recruit. We've been recruiting well, but you got time to evaluate and look at the film of these guys, because we're probably going to have a continuous dead period and can't go out and see guys play. So right now, you have time to watch film and watch video on the players you're planning on bringing in and the positions that you plan on bringing in to fill the holes that you're going to have. And also a process where you re-recruit your team. I talked about that a lot, where the coaches spend time with the current players on the team and re-recruit those players. But you have to have that connection. And somewhere, the connection on the defense side of the ball, it's not there. And you have players making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and it's going the same schemes, then there's a connection problem. So I think this gave them time to reconnect to their players, the break there, and, take it, one game at a time. We have Arkansas this week. Concentrate, focus on that, go up there and try to win this game.
It's pretty interesting you mentioned a connection, Verge, because a bit later on the show, we're going to play a clip from Urban Meyer where he's talking about Michigan, right, and some of the problems they're in. And he lays out some pretty rock-solid arguments for, the elements of how a team goes sideways. And one of them is that lack of trust between the players and the coaches, or that lack of connection, right? And I guess my question to you would be, you're a former player. In your mind, what made you trust your coach? Like, what's the key to establishing that relationship?
I think it's just like establishing a relationship with your child. In anything, business or anything you do, employees, anything, it has to be that buy-in. And you have to get, especially young guys, a young team, a young staff, whoever you have, when you have people that doesn't have the experience, you have to work on getting them to buy in. And a lot of times it's just second-guessing themselves and even trusting themselves and make a play or make a decision on the field. And that's what happens in any form of business we have in America. You have to have the employees buy in. Now, when you have strong leadership, like you have Joe Burrow, Clyde Hilaire, Patrick Queen, those guys, Cushenberry, it makes it easier for you, okay? You're the teacher of the class. It makes it easier, and the younger guys will follow them. But you don't have that experience. You don't have those type of leaders. Then you're putting a lot of leadership on a lot of young guys. Like, look, we have 2 freshman quarterbacks right now that's going to play for us.
Yeah.
And, they just don't know. Joe Burrow, his freshman year at Ohio State, wasn't the Joe Burrow we saw his junior and senior year at LSU, okay? And that happens when you're playing freshmen and so many young players. And that's why it's so important right now to us, the program, to look at the guys that we have now, the staff you have now, and say, you know what, this is where we could improve at. These are the guys who got the key. These are the guys that are important to our program to build off for next year. You don't only build talent, you build experience and leadership. And that's what you have to develop in any program. And when you don't have that leadership in a program because you don't have the experience, that's when the program have problems and the communication issues and other things start to happen.
Yeah, and if you can reestablish that trust, like a lot of the lumps you're taking in the short term, I think will end up paying long term benefits, right? Because guys are getting invaluable experience, dealing with adversity that can only help them get stronger in the end if you manage to make it through it without breaking. Let's talk about those young quarterbacks, TJ Finley and Max Johnson. It looks like the news on Brennan just seems to be leaning more towards you won't see him rather than you will. We'll see where it goes officially. But it looks like you're going to have one of the two freshman QBs squaring up this Saturday with Arkansas. What's the word on how those guys are progressing as they deal with the intensity of being 18 years old and just thrust right into the spotlight in a starting lineup?
I think they're going to do okay. And look, TJ had a rough day at Auburn, but you got to bounce back and you got to get him back. You got to get them to do what they do best. They're not going to be Joe Burrow. They're not going to make those plays. There's not going to be a lot of quarterbacks in the SEC. There are two freshman quarterbacks. Give them what they do well. And you have to. One thing about it, Jordan, you have to establish the run to help a young quarterback. Establish a run, the short pass game, and sometimes let them wing it out there and throw it deep and see what happens. But you have two guys that's capable of playing and capable of winning this conference. It's good, at times if one is a little shaky, let him sit for a little while and see what's going on. Nothing's wrong. Everybody talking about you pull a quarterback, destroys morale and destroys confidence. No, it's not. Say, look, this is the game plan we're going in. Both of you guys are going to play. Both of you guys are going to have opportunity. And, when one is struggling a little bit, hey, just take a little break, see what's going on, get the speed of the game, and then we'll put you back in there the way the flow of the game is going. And I think that's what you do with both of those guys. Hey, they both know. They're both freshmen. They both, equal talent. And, we have to win the football game. And that's what you establish as the coaches in the room and the coordinator in the room. Like, look, we're here to win this game. And you might be a quarterback, but you might go in motion and the running back might still get the ball. So you do different things with them to help them. Hey, last year, both these guys were in high school. You make it fun for them. You don't go there and put the pressure on them like you have to win the game. Take that pressure off of the quarterback, okay? Put it on other people, receivers, offensive linemen. Hey, you got to do this here to help these young guys out.
Yeah, and ultimately, if you look when the young quarterback starting, all those other position groups are really the groups that will decide whether you take this thing home or not, right? I mean, just look at the offensive line against South Carolina versus the offensive line against Auburn. Verge Osbury, LSU Executive Athletic Director. Thank you so much, Verge, for joining us this Monday morning.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it, fellas.
All right, there is Verge speaking on LSU, and so it looks like Arkansas definitely going to happen. It sounds like if there's going to be rescheduling, that it will take place post this Arkansas game. All right, coming up next, we will close out our one. I want to get to some of this Urban Meyer sound that I was alluding to there. However, I will continue to read this USA Today article and see if it's worth speaking about top of mind in terms of having my thoughts collected, because it's a very serious issue involving many serious allegations. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, USA Today has released a pretty scathing report in regards to LSU and sexual misconduct. So let's go to break, and we'll be back and close out hour number one of Off the Bench.
Off the Bench with Collada and T-Bob.